Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Francia. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Blueshift. And today I'm going to talk about how can you use AI to 2x your customer engagement. Before we get started in that, I wanted to talk a little bit about me and give you a little bit of an introduction and also a little bit of introduction to Blueshift. So I've been with Blueshift for about a year and a half now. I was a former customer of Blueshift during my time at LendingTree, and I've worked for over 15 years as a B2C and B2B marketer. Blueshift is a top-rated customer data platform trusted by many great companies across many different verticals. And we've been validated by a lot of top analysts as a leader in the space. So today we're going to talk about three important things. What AI is right for marketing? We've heard a lot about AI. Everyone's talked about AI. There's been movies made about AI. There's been thoughts about AI taking over the world. But what AI specifically works for marketers? Evidence of AI actually working and the results of those. And then how can you get started? As a marketer and a brand, how can you actually get started with AI and make it valuable for your brand? So to start, let's talk about which AI is right for marketers. Okay, so the holy grail of marketing, I've said this many different times to a lot of different people, it's essentially figuring out who is likely to purchase, so who to target, what content or product or offer should we recommend to them they're most likely to make a decision on, when is the right time to engage with them, and then where is the right place. So the who, the what, the when, and the where. That's kind of the holy grail of marketing. Now, of course, it starts when you know who your customer is. So you first have to have that unified view of your customer, but then how do you take all that rich data and actually make sense of it? And actually be able to fill in these gaps, say, well, who's the right person to target? What's the right product to offer them? When's the right time to engage with them or message them? And where is the right place to advertise to them? And if we can figure out those pieces, then the one-to-one personalized campaigns at scale are not only possible, they're very easy to accomplish. So today we're going to talk about how do we fill in those gaps? How do we do that? Who, what, when, and where? And how does AI help us figure these things out so we can do it at scale? So there's a journey, right, to kind of go from where we are today, and a lot of marketers are kind of set over here, to this kind of intelligent, always-on, automated customer engagement. And we did a study about a year ago, and we realized that we asked about 500 marketers, how many of them are truly personalizing at that one-to-one level. And the results came back that only 5% of marketers, 5%. So that means 95% of them are not doing one-to-one marketing, personalized at a one-to-one level. And when we asked them, well, what's the hurdles? What is getting in the way of you doing that one-to-one personalization? Here were the top answers. They didn't have the data collected in a good way or unified. So that's critical, right? You have to have unified customer profiles on your customers, or you can't really do anything that's very one-to-one personalized. Second was they couldn't run complex use cases efficiently. They were stuck trying to do things manually. And they were using tools that were outdated. They were obsolete. They were built 10, 20, 30 years ago and haven't really caught up and haven't been able to catch up based on the technology decisions made at that time. So how do we get there? And so the journey to intelligent customer engagement is AI. In fact, our co-founder and CEO of Blueshift, Vijay Chator, says AI is the key that unlocks the door to scalable and sustained growth. And so we saw that of the people that were using AI when we surveyed and asked those marketers, 98% of them said when they use AI and predictive modeling, they see improvements in their business. And 81% of marketers who are using AI for personalization report exceeding their revenue goals by at least 30%. So although not everyone is using AI in the right way, the ones that do it are seeing really, really great results and really great growth. So we're going to talk today about how we get there and how we can make AI be our advocate and help us achieve that scalable and sustainable growth. And so we kind of have two paradigms here. We have the old world of set static business rules where marketers or business leaders or commercial teams or product owners would essentially set up these rules and say, hey, we want to do this when this happens. And they would set up a lot of these rules, a lot of if-then kind of conditions. And it would generally be based on what the business needed at the time. Well, this product revenue is too low, let's juice it and let's put more business rules and levers towards that product. But it never really took what does the customer want at the time? And so if you look at that business rules, they're very static. You kind of set them and then you have to change them. They're pretty set. They're unscalable. There's only so many business rules you can write before it becomes completely unmanageable. And then no one can really tell you what they do after a while. I've been in companies and I've worked with companies that they have a spaghetti of business logic that really no one person understands how it works anymore. Now, that was not probably their intention when they started. That's definitely where they ended up. It's also operationally very inefficient. The more rules, the more process you have, the more humans you have to employ to manage the process. And generally, it's emotionally driven. It's driven by people saying, oh, we're sending too many messages, or we shouldn't offer this product to this person because we offered that to them yesterday, or our customer service team is saying that people aren't liking this, we should stop doing it. And they take these things that is very emotionally driven and lacks a lot of data, looking at large pieces of data and making probability estimates on that data. Now we look at AI, which is kind of the exact opposite. AI is dynamic by nature. It constantly improves itself based on all the data that's flowing in. And because of that, it's run on computers. It's infinitely scalable. You can run AI into the billions and billions of records. It's operationally incredibly efficient. You're using CPUs and servers, not humans, to run and manage the AI. Yes, you need to have some management on top of it, but you can outsize the AI impact with very few humans. And then it's data-driven. AI is not emotional. It looks at the data and it makes scores and adjustments based on the data. Now, the data has to be clean coming in. You have to make sure it's good coming out, but it's a way to truly look at the data and truly make decisions based on that data. And when you're thinking about AI, there's a lot of AI out there. Everyone seems to have their own model or machine learning algorithm that they're doing. So as we think about AI, these are three key components of when you're trying to implement and value which AI makes sense for you. One is transparency. You have to avoid these opaque black box models. Models, AI should be easy to understand the inputs that go into it and the outputs. And you should also be able to measure the outputs based on real data. Is the AI actually predicting the right things or not? The next thing is it needs to simplify the complexity. Models should be relatively simple to set up, relatively simple to train and test, but they need to handle very complex decisions. That is the point of AI. If the AI requires teams and teams and teams of people just to set up and train, it may be not the right AI for the marketing purposes. And then lastly, you want to be able to activate off of the signals and the scores. AI produces scores. It produces probabilities. So you need to look for systems that will not only score and provide you those things, but also allow you to activate and take action against those scores. One of our partners and customers is a company called Made in Cookware, and their co-founder and CEO said this. He says, we want to treat every one of our users and customers on a one-to-one level. He says, Blueshift is helping us enable that. AI and machine learning are the future of marketing automation. And we completely agree with that statement. You need to be able to get the AI working for you, and then you need to be able to action that AI and make decisions based on it. So the holy grail of marketing is only possible when you use AI. You can't reliably do these four pieces without AI helping you. The AI needs to tell you who is likely to purchase, what to recommend, when to send, and where to engage. And when the AI is working to those, the results are these one-to-one campaigns that are scalable and sustainable over time. Okay, so let's talk about any evidence of AI working. We've heard about AI a lot. Does it actually work? Does it actually produce the value that we need? Well, let's talk about a few examples of that who, what, when, and where that we've seen across our customer base that have been using those specific things to increase their KPIs and metrics. So the first one is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning company, and they used predictive scores to figure out who they should target. They make money, and their business model is we need to get people enrolling courses, and we need them to be staying engaged. And so when they ran this with the Who AI, the predictive scores of who's the right person to target, they had an 89% improvement in enrollment rate, 89%. And one of their marketing leads, Brooke Young, says, AI marketing helps our marketing team appear larger than it is. Blueshift helps us present ourselves and speak to our customers in a more sophisticated way, like companies 10x our size. That is exactly what AI does. It allows you to do things you could never do with a smaller marketing team because you simply don't have the resources. The next one is Zumper. They tested out predictive recommendations. The what content should we recommend to our customers? And when they launched this AI-powered recommendation engine, they're able to see a 381% improvement in lead volume and 128% improvement in click-through rates. And Christy, one of their senior directors of growth, said, the AI recommendation engine allows us to better serve our customers targeted marketing and personalized campaigns at scale. The platform enables us to turn behavior into experiences that capitalize on actual insights that were critical to our customer experience. That's exactly what you want. Small team, but able to do a lot with simple AI. Next one is LendingTree, who, when they tested out when was the right time to message someone with some of their triggered alerts, they saw a pretty big revenue lift. They saw a 35% lift in revenue when they used this engaged time optimization or send time optimization, when they figured out when was the right time to send a message to a user based on the AI predicting the right hour that customer would actually engage with them. And it was a very simple thing they had to do. It was a checkbox they had to click, but it represented 35% improvement in revenue across those campaigns. And then lastly, carparts.com tried to figure out where was the best place to engage with our customers. And they found that when they figured out predictive channel of choice and a score that says, hey, well, should we talk to this person on email or SMS or push or whatever have you, they saw 400% engagement. 400% engagement. And their CMO, Human, says, the platform flexibility addresses our complex data and makes it simple to deliver personalized messages and grow our channels. So that's what you really want. You want to see those four things working in harmony together. Okay, so how do you implement AI for your brand? Well, it really starts with data. You need to have all your data in one place, and you need to be able to understand that data, predict that data, make predictions against that data, and then orchestrate or activate that data across everywhere. So Blueshift, we call ourselves a Smart Hub CDP, where we live at the core of that. We unify your data, we run predictions, and then you orchestrate it not only to the normal marketing channels, but also to everywhere else within the customer experience and journey. And here's an example of LendingTree and how they do that. So they have all of their customers scored across which product they're most interested in. Then they build segments across those different products, trying to bias some of their campaigns to maybe their higher revenue products. Then they push those segments to their paid media destinations, and then their ads reflect what score the customer is interested, or what product the customer is interested in based on the probability score. And allows them to do a lot of really cool stuff with very minimal amount of effort. And then Zumper does the same thing based on more user behavior, user-initiated behavior. So a customer comes to their website looking for an apartment, they favorite something, then the recommendation, the AI runs, and it figures out, well, they like this one apartment, what other apartments could they possibly like? So they do that, the AI runs in real time, and then they're able to message on email and push notifications recommended apartments based on a very simple signal of one wish list item. Okay, that's pretty much the high level view of AI and how AI can work for your company and for your marketing. I'm a big believer in AI. I believe that as brands are allowed the AI to lead with guidance and with looking at the outputs, they actually are able to unlock unbelievable growth and sustain that growth over time. We recently launched, and it's now available, the Ultimate Guide to AI Marketing. This is a comprehensive guide to really help you understand how do I get started with AI marketing? What can I do? And a lot of evidence of how it works. It's available today at blueshift.com, so I encourage you guys to go and download it. And thanks so much for participating and listening for these 15 minutes. If you do want a free AI marketing consultation, you can reach out to us at hello@blueshift.com or go on to Blueshift and we can set up a time to talk to you. Thank you so much, and I wish you best of luck in your AI marketing initiatives.